Let's talk about the game, shall we? How's everyone doing today? And I'm here to review a very good performance. And I'm laughing because I can't believe we only got a point out of it. Yes, as you can tell, I'm here to talk about the game yesterday as of Grimsby Town and Barrow. It ended 2-2, and how on earth it ended 2-2, I will have no idea. Um, Basically, the short of it, two mistakes by Christy Pym um, has pretty much cost us it, and our lack of finishing. No enough has given Barrow a point. And as you can see, ending Barrow 2, Grimsby Town 2. And I'll take you through what the team was. To start the game, we started with Christy Pym in goal. Harvey Rogers, Terrell Warren, and Cam Janet was a back three. Geza David Torrey was in for George McEachran. We found out after the game that was because Geza won't be there, obviously, during the international break. So he's played in that one. George will probably come in next week against Chesterfield. We also had Stan Thorson on the left-hand side, Kieran Green, Evan Corey, Charles Vernon, Jace Cabier and Danny Rose. So 3-5-2. A very sort of direct approach from Artell, I felt. I was right because I did look at the... I was able to see some of the game and notice how, again, more narrow the pitch is at Barrow. And apparently Matt Dean and Craig Disley as well didn't have the best of views from the commentary position for a very Humberside. They kept getting hit with barriers and bollards in the way and just, posts. So that's it. But... and you wouldn't believe that it ended 2-2 because the way we started fantastic. In fact, so much so we took the lead within 7 minutes when a ball that was in the end put across tries. Someone shot at it, hit Danny Rose initially, came back out, crossed back in by Harvey Rogers. It was knocked down by Harvey, and Danny Rose just put his head on it from a yard and put Grimsby one up. Flying start, first league goal of the season for Rosie, and you couldn't ask for a better start really. And it was sort of like everything was going smoothly. Gaza was picking up the pieces, and Charles Burnham trying to be the threat that he is. Cameron Janet looked very, very good on the ball, and it got even better because Harvey Rogers got an assist this time. It was a long direct ball. Just 5 minutes later, it was a direct ball played down the line, which obviously got round the centre back of Barrow, and Kieran Green with a delightful little lob over Stanway, and 2-0 absolutely flying. And we continued it in that same vein. Grimsby kept on piling on the pressure. Evan Corey had chances. Charles Burnham had a chance to make it a real good chance, cutting him from the right hand side. Had a good chance which Stanway did palm away, but it was a chance, definitely a big chance to make it 3, but that wasn't to be. Green kept trying again. Again, Tory was doing his bit in mopping up anything that Barrow had delivered, but then all of a sudden we got hit by a sucker punch when Michael Harper took aim from about 35 yards, or so, 25, 30 yards, I mean, and it looked like Christy Pym had, for this one, had got his feet wrong. He'll be very, very disappointed because out of absolutely nothing, with the numerous chances that we missed, Rosie missed another one before that, and as did Kelly. I thought they played great together, those two, but that was a real sucker punch by Hakeem Harper, just to really damp squibbles in regards to going into half time, because Town dominated it. But in that last 5 minutes of the half, they were starting to put the pressure on. Raglan was a real big threat for them, and the long throw as well that they had, and you're thinking to yourself, if we could have got to half time 2-0, reset, but it was a good strike, but obviously Pym would be very, very disappointed not to have saved that, and we were comfortable. We were comfortable throughout that half, and to have that sucker punch right near the end, it was ridiculous. Right near the end we had that sucker punch, and then going in at half time 2-1 up, you're thinking slightly a bit, oh no. But okay, because we're still in control, we're still passing the ball around nice, we're still moving the ball around good, and Vernon's still being a threat, even though you could see that it was a lot harder for us to get wide, because obviously on a much more narrow pitch, and then it ended up being all about us again second half. Corey missed a glorious chance that he shouldn't have missed. KB missed a chance. Svan Thorson was probably the most leggiest player, but you can understand why. He is still getting back to full fitness, but but the chances that Town did miss was scary, and Pym did make a good save right at the start of the second half. I believe it was from Newby. I believe it was. It was either Newby or Gordon. It may have been Gordon actually. And right at the start, it was a header which he collected really, really well. And you're thinking, a third goal, and we've got this. I always felt that throughout the entire game. If Town got a third, it was over. But what we did as the game rolled into the first hour, what we actually ended up doing was we ended up giving up. We started to give Barrow chances to get back into the game, and pressure was coming in again. Corey, like I said, Corey had a glorious chance that somehow he miskicked it, and it went more wide than wide would want to be, really. And you're thinking, what are we doing? The chances that we're creating, they were saying in commentary, are Town gonna regret these misses? And in the end, we did, and it was another long shot. So McCann took the shot on, and that one I completely fault Pym for, in the fact that he just flapped at it, and he sort of went down it sort of like it was like a loose wrist, and it just squirmed past him, and you're thinking, how in the world are we 2-2? You can't really fault the effort of the lads, because they played well throughout the game. We were the better team throughout the game, and we brought on the subs, so to try and change things. You know, we brought on Neil Eccleston, who did all right. Jamie Walker came on, but Justin Malazor had a great chance. He came on for Danny Rose with about 7 minutes to go. He had a great chance near the end, which was blocked. A good block by the Barrow defender, and you're thinking, this is just, it's a feeling of disappointment, and I was so annoyed. But I'm not going to come down as hard on Christie as a lot of fans have done. People have been saying, maybe he needs to come out. Maybe it's his fault that that we've dropped 2 points, because it is 2 points dropped. We should never really have lost that game. Artell said during his post-match interview, he said we weren't ruthless enough, and he was absolutely correct. When people actually look at it, and you're thinking, well, maybe the manager's just looking at it from one perspective, because he said that we dominated every possible stat, and sometimes you read that and go, well, yeah, I don't always agree, but I looked at the stats coming into this, at the end of this, because obviously they held on for the 2-2 draw, so it's only a point when it just when it really should have been 3, but it also shows you that 2-0 leads are very, very dangerous. And then you look at the stats for the game and you're thinking, how in the world did Town not win this match? How did they not win this match? I mean, if I'll just break you down some of the overall stats. Grimsby had 55% of the ball in general, and 17 shots altogether, 6 on target. Barrow had 11 and 4. But look at these amount of touches inside Barrow's box, 28 to Barrow's 17. Christie had to make 2 saves. Their keeper had to make 3, but aerial duels won 31. They made more fouls. They had 1 extra corner than we did. If you look at other things, shots off target was 7, shots on target was 6. We hit the woodwork once. The distribution, 347 passes. The pass accuracy was 68%, better than Barrow. Backward passes, they're kind of like rehash passes, 171 of those though. Total on balls, we made 74. Successful final third passes, there's 91 to Barrow's 47. They put more crosses in. That was obviously going towards the end, trying to get back into the game. Tackles, 21. Our win percentage in tackles, 66.7. Total clearances, 43. You're looking at all this and you're going, how in the world have Town only come away with a point? When it should have been all 3, and it should have been out of sight by half time. We should have been 3-4 up by half time. Now, sometimes when Artell said that, I've looked at him going, are you sure? But I can't argue with what he said. We should have put these to bed, and that's what happens when you go ahead early, especially as comfortably in the end as we did, and then you don't see a team off. Barrow are no joke at the minute. They're on a good run of form, and it was 2 shots. Pim at fault. I'm going to say more for the second one than the first one. The first one, he just got his feet all wrong, to be honest. Straight at him, and you're thinking he should really be saving those, of course, but we have to look at the amount of chances we created. Again, 17 shots, and we only scored 2 goals. And again, those touches inside the area, 28 to their 17, and you're thinking, I literally just can't believe that we haven't won that game. A little bit though on the Christy Pym situation, when the some fans are really getting on Christy's back. Christy knows that, you know, he had a shocker. He knows he had a shocker. And what I will say to defend any goalkeeper really, it is such an exposing position. When you play in goal, if you make a mistake in goal, it is magnified tenfold than it is even a bad back pass. You know, so I agree that Christie deserves a criticism, and just admit that he had a bad day at the office. But we also have to look at it this way. Artel says that we weren't clinical enough. We absolutely were not clinical enough. Absolutely 100% we were not critical enough at all, and we it's our fault. It's our fault basically that we didn't get the result from an attacking standpoint and the amount of chances we created, but also with Christie's mistakes, you know. But the chances before they even scored their first, you know, for them it was 2 pot shots. Really, I mean, they were good moves, but they were pot shots, really. Okay, get it to about 25, 30 yards out and have a crack. One may have slightly deflected, and the second one was Christie's main error. And you're thinking to yourself, we drew a game 2-2 that really we should have probably won 4 or 5-1. And, you know, or you know, 4-5-2 in that regard. And it kind of, I can't blame the lads for the effort and how well they played. But when you are that dominant in a game and you don't, a third goal would have put Barrow to bed. Like Ardell said in his post-match, that should have been 3 or 4 or 5. It should have been, you know, quite simple. But as well, you have to give Barrett the credit. They had a go at the lottery, shall we say? They took a couple of long shots and they went in. You know, if you don't take the shot, you don't win the raffle, and that is exactly what Barrow did. It's exactly what Barrow did, and they've come away with a point that you probably turn around and say they don't deserve. And overall play, no, they don't. But I think it was a frustrating result. But I'm not gonna be too critical. I'm obviously disappointed, and I'm sure, like I said, Christie will know he's had a shocker of a game on Saturday. He had a shocker of a game, and he'll know it. He's a good keeper for this level, though, and hearing people saying he should be given a rest, he should be dropped. No. Christy Pym's our number 1 keeper, but I think it's also, like I said, it's the one area that very rarely gets changed. But you know, he needs to put that behind him. And we do it. It's funny, really, because we started the game in 7th. I think what hurt fans more is 10 minutes into the game we were top. And I think, again, reading too much into that, and then we ended up, you know, second by half an hour, you know. And you're thinking, oh, this is, a nice, comfortable win at Barrow, because we don't do great at Barrow. That's the one thing. They are one of our bogey teams in general. I know they talk about the Luke Spokes goal during the COVID season, one of the few sparks of that season, really. But we don't have a great record at Barrow, and that is as feels as much of a defeat as any. But I look at it this way as well. I go back again to the result earlier in the season. That we've done that to a team ourselves. Harrogate were 3-1 up. And we ended up pulling it back to 3-0. They do not the errors that Pim made, but and it feels like we picked something up this time because we weren't clinical enough. We've dropped something, but technically we've gone up in the league table. We're actually up to 5th generally, so we've actually gone up with the draw rather than down, and it's just 29 goals Town have scored this season. So we know where the net is, that is for sure. But very, very frustrating. Understandable why fans would be annoyed. Would be we needed more. We should have won that game. It's simple as that. We should have won that game. And Barrow got away with a point they probably shouldn't have got. But if you don't put a team to bed, that can happen. If this happens over again, I'll keep mentioning that Harrogate game that we got. That we threw away last season when we were 2-0 up against them. But they threw away from being 3-1 up this season. So it just felt like, oh yeah, we picked up a point there because we were 3-1 down. They would have felt like, well, we've dropped points there, just like how we do. We dropped points because we did not finish. We did not get that third goal. We did not finish them off. And Andy Wing has got, to be fair, he's got Barrow playing. This is one of the reasons why at the start of the season I put them down as a dark horse, because everyone would look at somebody like Barrow and go, nah, they ain't got much about them. And, they didn't start the first 20 minutes. But we allowed them to get into the game, not in regards to the play, because obviously they were always going to have some pressure. It was always going to happen. But I'm not going to put all the blame down on Christie, because we should have been out of sight before their first goal. And we weren't. So we have to look at it collectively and go, you don't put teams like Barrow to bed, this can happen, and I'm sure, Christie will be, when travelling back last night, he would have been devastated that what looks like his 2 mistakes has cost us. But it's basically not just his 2 mistakes, it's that inability to finish a team off. And but the only good thing is, if you want to look at it as positive, we've got away and got a point. And that's all we can look at it like. We've got away and got a point. We've actually gone up in the league. We're only a point off third. It's just that we could have been, well, at the end with results, we were only going to be third anyway. But it's a little bit of frustration. I was annoyed. That's why I'm glad that I took an extra day now to do my reviews, because it's games like that where you need it, and to put it in perspective, I think when you're taking 2-2 at the start, you always do. Away at a place, you'll always take a point, but it's the way the point came about. That should have been 4-5-1 in Town's favour, especially on the first half, and even the majority of the second half. And the stats back up what Artell was saying in his post-match. Usually, sometimes, you're thinking what the manager's saying is going to be, oh, well, he's just saying that. No, the stats back him up 100%. 100% the stats back him up. And I think now we have to look into this and go, The only good thing is we come away with something, but nowhere near what we should have done. We should be third going into the game next week, but we're not. We're in fifth. And final thing I'm going to say on it is you've got to give the credit to Barrow. Like I said, you buy the ticket by taking the shots, and but that's how important it is to shoot. Because anything can happen. They took 2 pot shots. Like I said, good movement going into that, but they had 2 pot shots and they both went in. So we let 2 poor goals in. But at the end of the day, it's 1 point rather than 3. A little bit of disappointment. It's going to obviously take our fans a good couple of days to get over it and get ready for Chesterfield, which is what we're going to have to do. And it's going to be a tough game on Saturday against Chesterfield. They lie in 10th at the moment, so they're only a point behind us. So it really is it's a big game, and obviously Notts County could go above us on as I would call this on Monday night, as they don't play till Monday night. So, but like I said, you get punished because we didn't do things properly. We were not clinical enough, which is hard to say when you've scored 29 goals, to say you're not being, but we, I can't say anything other than we've just got to lick our wounds and go, that is proof that if you're that dominant in a game, and the stats show that, you shouldn't be losing or dropping points in games like that. But it's happened to everybody, even so far this season. No one's dominating anything. Only 4 points off the top as well. It's not an absolute disaster, but it feels like a disaster. So they're my thoughts coming out of this game. Let me know what you guys' thoughts are. How gutted are you guys that we weren't able to get 3 points from really a very, very comfortable position. And I'll just say this one more time. I'm not going to come down too hard on Christie. Christie knows he made the mistakes. He knows there were errors. He knows that. And he's an experienced player. He'll know that he had a shocker. And but like the lads, we've got to just put that behind us and go. When you're that dominant, you don't let teams back in, and that's what we're able to do. And what that taught us is that why 2-0 is classed as a very, very dangerous scoreline, because once you get one back, the momentum goes on to the team that's just scored that goal back, and you lose a bit of momentum. So we dust ourselves off, and we go again at the weekend at home to Chesterfield. But do let me know down below what you thought of the game. Well done to all the guys that did travel down to Barrow. I know that's a very, very difficult trip for people to make. But do let me know what you guys thought down below. Anybody that went to the game, let me know how you viewed it. Because to me, it definitely is 2 points dropped without a shadow of a doubt. And it is from every level, really, do better. But I'm also going to say congratulations to Barrow for getting a point that, we allowed them to get, really. But let me know down below what you guys thought. Let me know what you thought if you went to the ground. Like, share, subscribe, comment down below. Let me know what you all thought. And are you still stinging after that result on Saturday? Let me know down below. And I will see you for the preview for Chesterfield. Hopefully we don't do that too many times this season, because we'll be punished if we do. But in the meantime, guys, that is me done with this ramble. and I will see you guys in the next one. Up the Mariners, and like I said, let's dust ourselves off and let's go again on Saturday in the big game against Chesterfield. Until then, guys, up the Mariners, and I'll see you soon. Ta-ra for now.